I guess I have a really strong connection with the women of Delhi University and with the institute as well. If you have seen my last three videos, you definitely know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I will still link the videos in my description. You can watch that. So, hi there, you are watching Navodita Talks. I'm Navodita, and this channel is all about book reviews, book recommendation, discussion, learning, and many more things. So, today we have someone from Delhi University who is a professor and soon to be Dr. Mahima Singh. So, how are you, ma'am?
I am fine, Navodita, and thank you so much for inviting me to your talk show. And I did not know that you speak so well. I taught Navodita around I think 3-4 years back, and since
Yeah,
then 3-4 years back it has been a long time.
exactly.
And I know of Navodita as a very introvert girl, but she was confident then too. And this change in her, that's really I just appreciate that very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thanks for coming. Do you remember how many times we tried to record the interview for radio and
Yeah,
end up
I
losing
remember.
the recording?
Yeah, and I am really something about you is that I'm really an impatient person. Like I get irritated, but when it comes to you, I think both the times, that time also, I was sitting quietly, and this time also. Otherwise, if it had been somebody else, I would have really blasted and just walked out of it. But with you, I don't know. I think it is Navodita's vibe. She's so like determined, so you just cannot walk off like this.
That's so kind of you, ma'am. So just tell us little about yourself. And thanks for coming. Thanks for joining and giving your precious time. So yeah.
There is nothing. It's. I think this. I am not such a. How do I describe myself? I think my students know me better. I think my students and my parents know me best. So parents will have all complaints, and students I really do not know. But I'm not somebody to talk about. That's all. That's all. That's all what I feel. Um, very introvert, very quiet. So
Yeah, I
once
have
I'm out
noticed
of
that.
once I'm out of teaching, like out of teaching in the sense, then once I'm done with my teaching, I'm into my den. So one has to really push me to, come out of my den and then talk to people. So that's all about it. There is nothing great to know actually. I mean, I think I'm so simple that it appears to be kind of weird for many people. I'm like so simple that it's almost as a shock for many people that somebody like
Only for
her
extroverts,
personally.
I guess.
I don't know. I think for a lot of people, because when they come to know that, oh, she has a degree in literature, she's teaching here, she lives here, and so then they are a little bit shocked. But there is nothing to be shocked about. I think all women today, they are doing well for themselves. So I am just one of those ordinary women. That's all.
You are the only person, only professor I'm connected to right now. Otherwise, I'm not connected to anybody. I don't know why, but we kind of vibe together. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, tell me, Navadita. Yeah.
No, you can say. Continue that.
No, no, you go ahead. It's your talk show, no? So I don't, I
Ari,
need
that's
to talk
perfectly fine.
less.
Perfectly fine.
It's that you have to ask me questions. I'm very happy that some of my students are going to ask me questions, no? Instead of, I asking them, yeah.
Okay. So, since our head that we want to become teacher or doctor. So, was it same with you? That is it always decided that you want to become a professor?
This is one question which is really interesting, and I like answering this again and again. Once upon a time, I wanted to become an air hostess when I was young, and when I did not know that I wasn't so pretty. Okay, so but when I grew up, I realized that literature is my calling. It was not English grammar, which I was very good into, but I was very like not good actually, but English literature actually I was really interested into it. Like I would read it and I would write answers. And I remember that in class eighth, I wrote an answer on Ruskin Bond's story, and my teacher gave me very
Yeah.
very good, and she wrote some extra comments. So I did not realize then. Then it was again class 11th, then 12th. Then I changed my board from CBSE to IESC, and then so when I came to DU, so I had two
Yeah.
things in mind. Either I am going to do I'm going to do English. Okay, I did not know what English honors meant that time,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
second option was history. So then I got into English honors, and I had no idea. But then when it started, the classes started. I mean, that was it. That was it. That okay, this is my subject. I have chosen the best thing for myself. Becoming teacher, yes, of course, sometimes you really get attracted by these college teachers who are very, very
Yeah.
fashionable, young, teaching young students. So I was also one of them, so I was like always dreamy eyed and looking at them. So then I decided, okay, I want to be like them. That's all. That is what I had in mind. Then I asked people, what is the process of kind of being a college teacher? Then people told me, oh, it is a very difficult exam that you have to pass, NET, and not many people pass it in English literature. So
Mm.
I thought, okay, how am I going to pass this? Okay, so I had no clue. Okay, and then I in fact before passing NET, I did B.Ed. I did B.Ed. I thought that I should start earning for myself. So after my master's degree, I did B.Ed and like taught in a school for a while, but I understood that school
Mhm.
students need a different kind of a training, and there it is more about grammar. Then I kept trying, working hard for UGC NET, and finally I qualified it, and finally it was like decided that I have to get into this college to teach, and I'm very happy. So it was decided, to come back to your question, that it was all less or more, it was kind of clear, because now when I see myself, I think that there was nothing else that I could have been. It was always college teaching. There was nothing else, no other profession which I have ever thought about. I was not a failed IAS aspirant at all, because IAS never ever attracted me. I never wanted to be in administration. I like the struggles of this profession. So that is how I have become like I'm happy. I'm happy, very happy.
I guess something is similar between us because it wasn't clear in my head that I want to do MA in English. So I decided to do masters in mass communication, but I end up doing in English. So I guess there's something similar between us. So
Okay.
you are also taking and giving classes online. So how's that experience as a student
I
and
think
as a
professor, yeah.
yeah.
See, I think teaching Delhi University has always been interesting, whether it is online or offline. Offline,
Mhm.
you still get to meet students from all over the country, from Jammu and Kashmir,
True. Yes.
from Uttarakhand, from Bihar, from so many states. So now teaching online is also great, because you only have your voice through which you can attract your students. You only
Yeah.
have, it's like a phone conversation where you are
Mhm.
putting all your sentiments into your voice and trying to know these students, trying to tell them something across. So I think it's a good mode,
Mhm.
and it's a good mode, and in a some way it has kind of erased that hierarchy between a DU student and a student who is
Mhm.
taking a degree from other universities. So in that
Yeah.
way I find it a good it's a good practice, I guess. So I could be sitting anywhere in the world and teaching, and
Yeah.
my students. So I like that. I really like that. So if it continues for a while, of course, that you cannot replace classroom teaching learning, because you get to
Definitely.
see your students in person, which is more important, to know them as a human being, and for a subject like English literature. So that
Mhm.
is more. Yes, that's it.
So, have you faced any challenges during the online classes?
See, one gets a little tired, because you cannot ask your students, like they of course participate in the debates, and other than, I think, technical errors, I don't think, if you are a willing teacher
Yes.
and if you have willing
Mhm.
students, I think not much difficulty.
Okay. So, you are simultaneously studying and teaching. So, how are you managing with your time? What are the things you are following up? Is there
See, I
any
think
pattern?
no, there is no pattern. I think initially 1 year, yeah, it was a little difficult, because I had to write my
Mhm.
term papers and all. Now it is not so much difficult, because I'm already going to write thesis on something I like. So when you like something, it becomes a little less tedious when you like doing your
Yes.
work. So it is less tedious. So that is, it's all right.
Okay. Every language is beautiful, right?
Yes.
Why do you think students need to study English?
It is actually not English. That's how I correct my students. It's actually literatures in English. Okay. So if it is
Yeah.
literatures in English, then, every language has its beauty. And I mostly, when I teach BCom classes or BA program classes, they always, the students have one of the queries that, ma'am, how do we make our English strong? So I said that, see,
Mhm.
I understand that in a country like India, and more so if you're coming from the north part of India, then you have this
Yeah.
attraction towards English. But I think language doesn't matter. What really matters in long run, whether you know Hindi, English, or Kannada, if you know English, things might become easy for you because it's a connecting language. Okay, it's a colonial
Mhm.
language, as well as I have always seen it as a connecting language, that it connects you to the world. It just doesn't connect you to the, like, people who are of different religion and different, it brings people on one platform, and it's a connecting language. Other than that, I don't see that, it has any hierarchy. I see it more as a utility, English. So even if you are speaking your our own Hindi, and English mixed
Mhm.
English, that is also done. So I see no difference if a person is speaking Hindi or English. What I see is that if a person is honest enough, hardworking, those are the qualities I think any big institution or any organization looks for. It is not so much about the language. It's always mostly about, the kind of work that you do.
So, talking about literature, which is the book that you have planned to read your lifetime and that you would suggest to all the students?
Literature, the moral universe of literature is very different. So if you ask me, then,
Mhm.
ma'am, what is the good book? Okay, what is the good book? One author I would recommend to all my students when they are in crisis, and that author is Ruskin Bond, because he creates a very beautiful world out of this chaotic world. And when you read, there is a certain kind of warmth and imagination in his stories. Each and
Yes.
every story that he writes, so it is full of innocence and love and mystery also. It is mysterious
Mhm.
also. And his heroines, especially, I like Ruskin Bond, that because unlike other, author, he doesn't make his heroine he makes his heroines very assertive and mysterious and beautiful, which is what I like. So he has given female, the woman also, space in his stories. And then, of course, his way of looking at India is very different.
Hmm.
He looks at India as very beautiful, charming, and mysterious. So that's how. So whenever you are in the time of, losing it, in the sense that life is going very chaotic, very competitive, you come back to Ruskin Bond, and then maybe there you would find some peace. Then you would like Ruskin Bond. That's the storybook that I think I will recommend everybody. And when I'll have my own kids also, no, so I'll tell them that you read Ruskin Bond.
Okay. So, which book made an impact in your life as a student? I remember Annie Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl, made an impact in my life, and I recently watched animated movie on that also. So, which is the book that impacted your life?
You know, the the book I think would be Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, because it was a book which I did it in 11th and 12th, class 11th and 12th. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a book which talks about different characters. It talks about Pip, it talks about Stella, it talks about Miss Havisham's madness. So I think it had
Mm-hmm.
made an impact, and I remember it till date. I remember each and every scene of the book till date. Now, students are not in habit of reading books. That's what I have discovered. And also, they don't read classics. They read these very
Yes.
popular fiction. So, if you pick
Mm-hmm.
up, like, these are difficult books to read, but when you start reading them, when you lose yourself into pages, then the world is different. Then the world is different. So I think it is Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, which, because I did it first, and the teacher who taught us, he was a very famous teacher, Kyle McFarland. So he taught us, and that was a great book. And the teacher who taught, of course, I remember him, and I owe my gratitude to him also. So that's it.
I guess I wasn't into classic literature earlier, but I guess in 2019, I started reading classic literature, and the first one was Time Machine, and then the Picture of Dorian, the portrait or the picture of Dorian Gray.
The ha the picture of Dorian
Yeah,
Gray. Yeah, and these are books that the picture of Dorian Gray. In fact, even I would like to read since now you have recommended. Now you are talking about it. I would like to see it once again. I like to go back to it because
that
no, I was just saying that since you have mentioned it, I'll go back to it. I will try to understand the picture of Dorian Gray because and these are very nice books to read.
yeah, that book blown my mind. The ending was amazing. So I, after reading that, I recommend it to everybody. Any, are there any teaching methods that you use or that you would suggest to aspiring professors?
No, I think every teacher, for that matter, they have their own style. They discover their own
Mhm.
style. There is no specific teaching method, that methodology which one can suggest to another. Every teacher is different, and every set of students is also different. So what you'd have to do is you actually have to keep changing your methodology and your approach towards the student because it depends on the larger group of whom you are dealing with. So I think there is no
Right.
suggestion as such, and I think everybody is like all the teachers are, all teachers are learning, and we are also learning from our students. So that is the best part.
Yes. Okay. Million of students are waiting or are seeking for help, advices, and suggestions. So I think you are the right person to answer all the questions. What are the major things you should suggest to students who are studying or preparing for NET, MA English, or PhD?
One thing that I always tell my students that when you have decided to walk on this path of UGC, NET, and PhD, please
Mhm.
be very patient. Okay, please be very patient because now you are on, now you are doing something which not many people will do, and don't do it with the aspiration that you are going to make big money and that too in less time. Because I remember
Yeah.
I started the whole my I mean, today I would be, I think this January, I would be 35. I remember that I started this whole work when I was 25. When I 25, I started preparing for UGC NET. And since then to now, I am still doing I'm still, kind of doing my PhD. So it is
Mhm.
whole 10 years of my life. So I think the journey, you should be ready to lose yourself into it because it's not going to be easy. Because now, now I think in my time, it would have been a little more easier also to get
Hmm.
into MA, to get into MPhil. And now I see that for MA English and MPhil and PhD, there are huge, there's so much of competition, like students less, yeah, even
True.
I like get
Yeah.
phone calls. So I see that, ma'am,
Mhm.
I have not made it here. Ma'am, I have not been in the cutoff. That is because the number of students who are applying for this course has become very, very huge. Otherwise, earlier it was very few people. Like in my time, I don't know. See, I was not so aware. I was just doing what my
Mhm.
heart told me to do. But now I see that yes, now there is a huge competition, and I always feel that the generation who is coming, the one which is younger, they have to
Mhm.
face, they are facing more competition. So when you are into this path, you just, and one thing that I suggest, that do it only if you're interested. If you're not interested, then don't,
Mhm.
do something which you're interested in, whether it is IAS, whether it is bank, whether it is clerical, whether you are even um, uh, you want to own a auto, and you want to get into Uber driving, you have to be
Yeah.
interested. That's all.
Yes. So, I come from non-literature background. So I kind of struggle with poetry and drama. So what can I
So you
do
have to
to
do that.
understand poetry and drama?
See, there is no, I would suggest that, if the poetry and drama, not that even we understand each poem and each drama. As a
Mhm.
literature teacher and teaching literature for past 7, 8 years, I will, I can say this for sure that, even I struggle. Not that every poem you are going to understand, not that every drama you are going, because English literature in English is vast, coming from so many countries. So what you do is you try to simplify it first. Try to simplify the version of what you are reading. Like if you are doing a poem which you seem very difficult, try to find a summary, which is a little more simple. Then you go back to the poem again, then try to understand it, try to go
Mm-hmm.
to the biography of the author, when it was written, to whom, what were the circumstances and in situation in which it was written. So all that is going to make it more simple. And one thing about literature is that literature always explores, and that you would
Yeah.
understand. I think MA is still little bit early. When I was in MA, I had no clue. Now Navodita is telling me that, ma'am, I struggled. I had no clue. I had sometimes had no clue why am I even doing this drama or this poem, and what does it mean. I mean, I used to understand a little bit of it, some part of it, but not everything. So, but you will eventually, when you are here in
Mm-hmm.
literature, you will eventually get to know.
Okay. So, Mahima ma'am, someone asked me on my Instagram account that what are the best sources to learn online for free for literature and for PhD?
For PhD, I think for PhD it is entirely your own work, because in PhD, this question I can answer. It is entirely your own original creative effort, and if you even take it from internet sources, they will the people in the panel will get to know. So it's best that you
Mm-hmm.
have your own ideas and your own theories and your own creativity in PhD. That's how you do PhD. I mean, you should have a certain idea, and then help subsidiary source you can always figure out on internet. The other thing that you are asking is that how to learn English. See, there are many sources and all good sources also. There are pronunciation websites. There are many, libraries. There are many, Google Scholar articles, and then you also have JSTOR articles. All these articles are there. So people have written their research papers and put uploaded on the website. So all these resources, one should know. PDF files of books are available. So everything is available online. For in short, everything that you need is available online, and you can go ahead and do it.
All right. That is really informative, I guess. For me, at least, it is. Okay. So, lastly, I want to ask when can we see Mahima Singh as an author? That's my favorite
I,
question.
oh yeah, that's your favorite question. I don't intend to. I don't. I think there is nothing much that one can write. No writing. I think I used to write when I was your age, a little more older than you. Then I had so many emotions. So, but as you become an adult, no, what you do is you start processing the emotions in your mind. So I really don't know. Maybe when I'm old, when I'm done with my, everything, my spouse and my kids, and so I think then it would be worth actually writing also, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a nice question, Navodita. Actually, it makes me also think that whether I would have something to write in my life, and I would want to write about everything the way it is. I don't want to write about anything as a fairy tale. If when I write a book, I'm going to write a original book, not something that I'm writing crap and telling people, dissuading people. So
Yeah.
I don't know. So even if it's a story, it's going to be original story, not something that some dreamland I have cooked up and I presented before you. So I'll wait for that moment. I'll wait. If there is an experience which changes the course of my life, because everybody's in growing up phase, so maybe then I can write even in 2 years or 3 years. So it depends on the instinct also.
Yes. So there are a lot of fantasy stories around, storybooks around, but there aren't any realistic stories. I haven't read any of them, so I am waiting for the one that you will write. So that was lovely talking to you, ma'am. It was great, and you are really kind, and your answers were brilliant. You gave brilliant information, shared your amazing story with us, and I'm really glad that you took out your time for me after so many obstacles life thrown on us. So, yes, it was really nice talking to you. Thanks for
Okay. Thanks.
coming.
Thanks, Navodita. Thank you so much.
So that was all for today. You can subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Share this video if that was informative for you, and give this a like button. See you all next time. Okay, bye.